In this video, we are going to explore Google Calendar. We will look at how to add a new calendar, how to share a calendar, and also how to create an event and integrate Google Meet. First thing we need to do is access Google Calendar. You can do this by going to calendar.google.com or by going to the familiar google.com, making sure we have signed in so that we can see either our initial or our profile picture at the top right hand corner, and then selecting the 9 tiles. From here, you can select the calendar icon. As always, if it doesn't appear in the first half, just scroll down in this box and it will appear in the next part. Select it to open it. When your calendar loads, you will have your own calendar, birthdays, and a few other ones down the side automatically. If you have a few Google Classrooms, you will have all of their calendars appear as well. So if I scroll down on the side here, you will see there's quite a few calendars, and most of these are linked to a Google Classroom. Right now, we're looking at my own calendar. I'm going to unselect this one. That's not the one I'm going to be working on. One that I will show is the Techie Tea Party one. So now you can see all of the Techie Tea Party events. So if I scroll through, in April and May, you'll see all the Techie Tea Party events that are happening. And then if I wanted to look at other ones, or if I had tasks set up, and this is the tasks icon just on the right hand side of your screen. So you always have keep and tasks available when you're in Calendar and in Gmail, which is useful if you want to create to-do lists or if you want a wee reminder. So you can see all of the tasks I have. There's only one that is 7 weeks late. So you can have your tasks calendar visible. And then you can also select, so if there is a classroom that you're using all the time and you're not really using the other ones, just have that one visible as well. So I may have my Google Certified Educator Level 1 classroom visible too. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new calendar. Now we may think that clicking on create is the place to go here. This isn't. This is where we add new events and create events within that calendar. This is creating within the calendar you have selected. We're going to scroll down in this left hand side, and then you'll notice next to other calendars there is another add sign. This is where we can add a new calendar. So we select that add, then we select create new calendar. We can give the calendar a name. So the main purpose I can see for using calendars during this distance learning period is to have staff meetings and to have a calendar that is shared with all of your colleagues in your school or those in your faculty, to schedule weekly or daily meetings. So it may be that you have a coffee break time scheduled together via Google Meet. So you can do this in Calendar. So you can create a new calendar. I'm going to call this staff meetings. I'll give it a description. So weekly staff meetings and daily coffee breaks. It has the time zone, which obviously isn't applicable for us to change, and it tells you who owns that calendar and the organisation. You can then create the calendar. I select that. Down at the bottom, you'll see the calendar creation in progress. Now, your calendar will not load straight away. This screen will simply refresh. And that's where you can sometimes get confused and think, I need to do that again, it's not worked. So you'll see it's deleted everything that I typed in, but at the bottom it says staff meeting successfully created. What you need to do to access your calendar now is select this back icon next to settings at the top of your screen, top left. Select this arrow, click on it. It will then take us back to our Google Calendar overview. And then if I scroll down this left-hand side where the list of all of my calendars appears, you will now see this new calendar for staff meetings, and it has been selected. I'm now going to work on this calendar only. So I'm going to make sure that I'm displaying this calendar only. To do that, we click on the 3 dots, then display this only. By selecting the 3 dots as well, we can change the color of it. And what that does is any event that I add to this calendar in my calendar overview, so if I have all of my calendars loaded and all of the events visible, They can be color coded so that I know which is which at a quick glance without having to read. I'm happy with the color that's chosen at the moment. And then the next thing to do before I start adding events is to make sure this is shared with my colleagues. So I'm going to go into settings and sharing to achieve that. Now you'll see we're in the calendar settings. This is where I can scroll down and you can see that there will be invites that will automatically be added to this calendar. So if other people share it with this calendar, it will accept them automatically. Then I have levels of access permissions. So the only purpose I can see for having a public calendar is if it is something that you are sharing on a school website, or if you perhaps teach younger students and they're not using Google Classroom, to have a calendar of tasks set for the whole day or the week where you can upload different materials into the classroom, into the calendar, sorry. But for this, because this is going to be staff meetings and this is going to be with my colleagues, they're all going to be in my organisation. So I just want to make sure that this calendar is available for edubuzz.org. At this point, without having to type in anybody's names, I can get the shareable link and then I can copy that and paste it into an email to my colleagues so that they can click on that, open it, and they have access to that calendar straight away. So I would copy that link. Link is copied to the clipboard. Then I can use my shortcut Control and V to then be able to share that calendar with my colleagues. Alternatively, if you want to give different access to different people, so if you were sharing this with members of the school senior leadership team, you can add specific people. So scroll down below where it had the link, and then we're going to select Add People. Here I can select my colleagues. I can either type in their name or their email address if I know it. If you do know that if you start typing and there's a few people with the same email address, check with the person before you share it to make sure that you're sharing it with the correct individual. You can set the level of permission, so you can set it so that they can see the event details, or what I would recommend, certainly if this was a calendar where you wanted the school leadership team to be able to access, change it and amend things as appropriate, I would have it so that they can make changes and manage the sharing. Select send once you're happy with that. You can always revoke their access to the calendar as well. So if you are aware that you've shared it with the incorrect person, simply click on the cross that appears next to their name. That will then remove their access to that calendar. When you're happy, all these settings have been saved automatically. Select that same back arrow next to settings at the top left, and then we're ready to create events in our calendar. To create an event, we can either go create, and then it will add an event into the calendar. That's not really the workflow process I tend to use. I tend to like to choose the date that I want to have the event. You can click once to get that small box that we had before. Or what I prefer, because I always tend to go into the more options anyway, is to double click. And then that loads the more options part of the calendar event page. So now I can edit everything about this event without having to go into the more options later. I can give the event a name, so I'm going to have staff meeting, staff coffee break. It's not going to be all day. And then I'm going to have this so it's half an hour every day from Monday to Friday. So to do that, I select the first date that I want this to start on. So I would choose next week. And then I'm going to have, within this doesn't repeat section, I'm going to select that drop down menu. And then I'm going to go to every weekday, Monday to Friday. You can have it, so if you were doing this for a weekly staff meeting, you could have it set so it's every Wednesday at this time. And that would just automatically repeat in the calendar. But I'm going to do every weekday, Monday to Friday. Double check the details before you move on to the next bit. So it's starting on Wednesday, the 22nd of April. It's 10 till 10:30, and it's every weekday, Monday to Friday. Next, we're going to add conferencing. So this is where we integrate Google Meet with our calendar. By selecting Add Conferencing, we can then add Hangouts Meet, is what it may show. This is also known as Google Meet. You will then see that you can join the Hangouts Meet, and then there is the link available. So if I click on this, I can then right-click on this and copy the link address, and I can share that with my colleagues, like we could do with the email, and we can then share that via an email, or we could post it if you had a staff area or a group chat somewhere. You can copy that link and post it there. For you to launch that meeting, you simply click on the link to launch it. Camera is starting. I can switch off my camera. I can also switch off the microphone, and then I can select Join Now. Okay, there is also the option to present to the meeting. So if you did want to present to your colleagues, you can also present to the meeting from here. So that would present your whole screen like you're seeing in this video at the moment. It would just share what is on my screen without me joining as a person. Close this. So I've got that, I've checked it works. I can add notifications, so I could be notified 10 minutes before, and I can also have another notification to remind me the day before. So one day before I'll get an email, and that just notifies me so that if I have anything to prepare for that meeting, I am ready for it. If you were using this for your staff meetings, you could then add the agenda to this at the bottom here in the add description. So you could add an agenda and then share that with people. And then you can add guests to this. So I'm going to add my colleague. I'm not going to allow him to invite others, and I'm not going to allow him to see the guest list. When I'm happy with everything, so double check it all. So I've got it every weekday, Monday to Friday, 10 till 10:30, starting on the 22nd of April. I've got my Hangouts Meet link. I've tested it, I know it works. I've got my notification set up, and this will notify all of the guests as well in the same way, so long as they've added this calendar, and then I can select save. You can also note that at this point, you can change the calendar this appears in. So if you have selected the wrong calendar by accident, click on that to open your list of calendars, and then you can always add it to the correct one. So you can always double check it's going into the right space, certainly if this is a calendar you have shared with your colleagues. You can make it so that you're free or busy, similar to other calendars you may have used in the past, and then save. Would you like to send invitation emails to Google Calendar guests? I'm going to say do not send. And then the event is saved. So now you will see every day, Monday to Friday, I have got staff coffee break in my calendar. I can double click on this or click on it once to view the preview. This is where again you can get the link and you can copy it. So I can copy that link. I've got one guest waiting. I'm going to edit this by selecting this pencil icon here. You'll see it's also given it a little picture to go with it, and that's simply taking the word coffee, bit of machine learning from Google there. And I'm going to remove this from Mr. Brown's calendar, as I'm sure he doesn't need a staff coffee break every single day. I'll edit all events and do not send. So now this is still the same in my calendar, however, it's no longer visible in Mr. Brown's calendar. You can always amend a specific one. So if you wanted to amend just the one date and change the time, for example, select 10:30, select save, and only this event and OK. So what will happen there is that time has changed to 10:30, but the others have remained the same. So that just means if something's come up in your calendar or something to do with your class, you can change that. Now, you will see that this is now recurring every single day. Hopefully we won't need to have virtual staff meetings every single day. So we've got this. The custom, and we can have it so that it ends, and I could set that so it's only a month away, so I can schedule these for a month at a time. So a month from now will be Friday the 15th of May, and then done. So if I hit save there, all events, okay, you will see it's vanished from here, but it appears from April to May. It's only for that month.